What is going on, everyone? Today we are talking about the most personable fish out there. It is the dwarf pea puffer. Pea puffers, literally the cutest fish you'll ever see in the freshwater aquarium hobby. They are just so cool, and they are literally like a pet dog. They come up to the glass, and we'll show you all this as we get through the video. But today we're diving completely into that. If you guys have never seen one of these videos before, my name is Rob. I'm the owner here at Flipaquatics. And today I'm gonna give you all of our details of how we keep dwarf pea puffers and how you can keep them successfully. So first of all, we keep a lot of dwarf pea puffers. It's one of our biggest sellers, super popular. And so this whole row is dedicated to it. I think it's 7 tanks, maybe it's 8 tanks. 8 tanks. Don't quote me on any math around here, all right? But these guys, I'll just give you a quick overview of them. So dwarf pea puffers, they get to about, I want to say 1 inch is usually the biggest they get. Now these guys will get fat. Like if you feed them good, they will be fat. But one thing to know right off the bat is they are somewhat aggressive. So we'll talk later on in the video what you can keep them with, but just know starting off, these are not a fish that you want to add in with just with any other fish. They will nip at fins, they will kill fish, they'll eat shrimp. Like they are definitely little tears, but they're so worth it if you can actually do it the right way. So other than that, they're pretty hardy. They do require live foods. Live foods or frozen foods, I've personally never been able to keep them with pellets or flake food. They just don't adjust well to that. Maybe you're the exception and you can figure it out. But for all the ones that we have here at Flipaquatics, we feed them live foods and frozen foods, and really just an absolute awesome fish. And to show you their temperament, like if I come up to this glass and I just put my hand along it, they're all gonna just start watching. They're like, ooh, is this guy gonna feed us or something? Whereas like if I went to like a neon tetra tank and did that, they'd be like, hey, scary guy, get out of here. Like, you know, they just don't even know what's going on. These guys actually think about it. So like all of the pea puffers in the next tank are all in this corner because they're watching what we're doing. And so this is a very inquisitive fish. It's very curious. It's always looking outside the tank to see what's going on in the room. And so if you're looking for a pet fish that is actually going to be personable and, you know, is going to recognize you, this is definitely the fish that you want to go with. So let's talk tank setup. What do you need to actually be successful with pea puffers? So right now you're looking at our tanks. These are all 20-gallon longs. That's what we use for pretty much all of our tanks here at Flipaquatics to hold all of our fish. We stock this with about 100 pea puffers, and I would never recommend that if this is a home aquarium, but because we're just keeping them for, you know, a month, 2 months at a time, and, you know, we kind of have our process figured out, it works for us. But for you at home, you know, this is a small fish. So first of all, you have to decide how many do you want to keep. And so you're going to read online that, oh, you don't want to keep them with other pea puffers, or you have to have tons of hiding places. We're going to go over that all here very shortly. But know that you can keep them together. So how many do you want to keep? If it were me, I like keeping like, you know, 5 together. I think that's a good number. Anything less than that, they might pick on each other. 5 is a good place to start. If you only wanted 1, you can probably do like a 5-gallon tank. If you wanted 5, I'd probably do a 10-gallon tank, keep it a little bit more stable with more water volume and stuff like that. We just run sponge filters in ours. You could run any type of filter that is low flow. You don't want high flow because these guys will get stressed out. They just have these little, you know, little fans on the side. They're pretty cute, but they don't like strong currents. So also their main food is live food or frozen food. So if you're feeding live food like we do, we feed a ton of Daphne, and we'll go over that shortly. But if you're feeding live foods, most live foods also do best in slow moving water. So very slow movement. So sponge filter would be great. A hang on the back filter, turn down to the lowest setting, you know, appropriately sized for the tank is going to do well too. You could do like a matte filter or something like that, but very low filtration. They love plants. They love natural decor, you know, leaf litter, things like that. The only thing to know about them is if you have too many hiding places, that's not good. And again, we're going to talk about how to keep them in a group in a little bit, and that will all make sense. Now, as far as water parameters go, this is how we keep them here at Flipaquatics, and they're going to adjust to a wide range of parameters. So you could go a little bit softer, you can go a little bit harder. We try to be right in the middle. So our pH is usually, you know, 7.3, 7.6. Our TDS is about 150. We use a mix of tap water and RO water. We remineralize it with Shrimple products. That is our own brand, and it's a GH remineralizer, KH remineralizer. But our goal for these guys is a 4 to 6 GH and a 2 to 3 KH. And that is what we aim for. Again, pH 7.3 to like 7.6. And the reason we try to stay in that middle ground is if you have a tank that is softer water and you have a pH of 6.5, these guys are gonna adjust. If you have 7.8, these guys are gonna adjust. So we try to be right in the middle and keep it as easy as possible on you guys. How do you keep Pea Puffers in a community setting? So again, if you went and Googled it, you chat GPT'd it, you're gonna get a whole lot of information that probably doesn't make a lot of sense and isn't firsthand experience. So obviously, you know, we keep 100 Pea Puffers in a 20-gallon tank and we do not have issues doing that. And there's a reason for it. Here's the thing. When you have Pea Puffers in a large enough group that they can't get territorial, that's the biggest part, then you're fine. If I had 4 Pea Puffers in here, they would probably pick on each other because they can all kind of like establish, you know, this side of the tank's mine, this corner's mine. And so you'll read online, they'll say like, oh, tons of hiding places, tons of breaks in visibility, things like that. Some of it's true, but the more hiding places you add, the easier it is for them to determine this is my spot, not yours, and that will create the aggression. So for me, I like stocking them in large enough numbers that like they don't even have a chance to develop territory. And the only thing that this might get a little crazy with is when they get to like full grown size, maybe they're gonna try breeding, you might get a little bit of aggression there. But for the most part, like we could keep 100 Pea Puffers in a 20-gallon tank for the next 6 months and not have an issue. And I know that because we do it. Like there's times where we have stuff that's going through treatment and we have to hold it for a long time. So if you wanna do this successfully, don't create a ton of different places where they can set up territories in. You wanna create like, you know, plants and hiding places a little bit, but you don't wanna go above and beyond. Otherwise, you're gonna create territories, which is not good. So either you need to have less hiding places when you have less Pea Puffers, or more hiding places but have tons of Pea Puffers so that even if there is a hiding place, there's always 2 to 3 of them in it. So neither one of them can be like, this is mine. And so that's how to keep them successfully. It's gonna be a lot of trial and error on your side because you have to determine, okay, what is the appropriate amount of hiding places? What is the appropriate amount of open swimming places? And if it were me, I would just have plants all along the back and keep the front completely open with like a couple pieces of rock, maybe some driftwood, but try to avoid caves and things like that because that's how they can easily go in there and be territorial. Let's talk about Pea Puffer food. So right here is the perfect example of what a good Pea Puffer food supply looks like. This is our Daphnia colony. This is one of many Daphnia colonies, and this is one of our main feeding sources for Pea Puffers and a lot of other fish. Now, the other thing that we keep in here that is really good for Pea Puffers that we feed them a lot is snails. So we have ram's horn snails in here, we have bladder snails, and they're not gonna eat the huge ones. So you need to make sure they're gonna eat the small ones. So we always breed them and then we feed the baby snails to the Pea Puffers. And so again, these guys are just really good food sources. The Pea Puffers will naturally go for them, especially if you're getting Pea Puffers from us. They already eat this stuff on the normal. And so that's just gonna be an easy transition. And we do sell cultures of this on our website if you don't already have a supply of this. The next little thing that you could feed them, which most of you probably will, is gonna be frozen foods. Now, if you go look up frozen foods, what's good for them, the ones I recommend are Daphnia, copepods, I think it's how you say it, or Cyclops or whatever. I always get them confused, but you'll know what I'm talking about. We'll put it down below. And then also frozen Daphnia. So those are my favorites. Now, a lot of people will feed them bloodworms, which we feed them bloodworms too. The only thing is this can easily lead to bloat. So that's where Daphnia comes in. It's high in fiber, it will protect them from getting bloat. And so rotating live Daphnia, frozen Daphnia, bloodworms, and a good mix is always important to ensuring that your Pea Puffers stay healthy. And we'll go through all the common illnesses that they get and other things and kind of how we quarantine them here so that you guys have firsthand knowledge on how you can avoid things like bloat, internal parasites, and how we do our best to prevent that before they even get to you. I want to start with this tank. This is a Pea Puffer tank that we ordered in. It's been about 3 weeks, and you can see these Pea Puffers are like the size of, I don't know, a BB. Like they're literally so small. They're not even pea size. Go figure, right? Pea Puffers, they're not even a Pea Puffer size. So these guys are like babies. So we've already had these for 2 to 3 weeks at this point, maybe a little bit longer. And this is typical. And this is like these guys are so hard to get healthy. They're so hard to get eating because like, you know, they're just so small. And now we talked about internal parasites. Internal parasites is one of the biggest things with pea puffers because they're constantly eating live food, frozen food. It's a lot easier for them to get internal parasites, and they don't want to eat dewormer medicine. And so you literally have to treat their tank, which isn't as effective. You have to do it a lot longer. And so then we get stuck treating these things for months just to get them healthy. And sometimes, like in this case, these ones are so small that, like, you know, out of the 100 that we ordered, maybe 10 or 15 will live. And that's with our best effort. We're taking care of them every day. And so other times you get like these guys. These guys came in about a little over a month ago. So say 5 weeks ago, they came in great. They're huge, they're big. They're still going through quarantine because they still have signs of internal parasites. So that's a big thing for pea puffers you gotta watch out for. Anytime you see sunken bellies, not good, you wanna treat it. What we use to treat it is Paracleanse. And then we also use a dog dewormer, which is Pancure C. I don't recommend doing that because it's not made for aquariums, although we have a lot of experience with it and that's why we do it. I'm sure you guys can look up articles on how to do it if you want to try it at your own risk. Now, the other thing with pea puffers, we just talked about this, they only eat live foods and frozen foods. So that means if you're not doing that correctly, they're gonna get bloat. Bloat usually means to them dying, and that is not good. That's not what you want to do. And so that's where like live Daphnia, frozen Daphnia come in huge for these guys because they're really high in fiber and they prevent that bloat. So I highly recommend feeding them. Like in a lot of these tanks, I don't see it in these ones because they got fed earlier yesterday and we haven't fed them yet today. But as you're walking through, you actually see Daphnia still in the tank because we try to like power feed these guys. We want to make sure they always have food. That also helps prevent nipping at other fish in the tank or themselves. And, you know, a fat, lazy fish isn't going to want to fight its friends. So, you know, just something to know. And so, yeah, our biggest thing is we want to make sure that you guys get healthy fish. That is our guarantee. We want to set the standard. And so we hold our pea puffers for a minimum of 2 weeks, a lot of times over a month, a lot of times 2 or 3 months. And we're gonna make sure that they're healthy before we ever even list them for sale on our website. And then if you do plan on buying them from us, we only ship them overnight. We ship them with breather bags, and we do all that for the health of the fish. Overnight is way better on fish, less time in the mail. We use breather bags so there's less sloshing around in the bag. It keeps them from getting stressed out. We do things like our insulation that we use to ship is all from recycled plastic. So we're trying to be good on the environment as well. And so our thing for you guys is we always want to set the standard. We want to be the ones that give you the healthiest fish and a place that you guys can count on. No, I know. You don't want to just have a pea puffer only tank. So what can you actually include with these guys? So I'm not going to go around and show you like, ooh, this fish would be great. This fish would be great. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to give you an overview. So the best thing that you guys could do, pea puffer only tank. Now you could do some bladder snails in there, some ram's horn snails. You know, they might pick on the adults, but they're not big enough to actually kill the adults. They might torture them to death and then eat them. But for the most part, you could probably get away with having some snails in the tank so that they can reproduce, and then these guys can eat the babies. The other thing that you could keep with them is anything that is a fast-moving fish. You don't want anything that's going to sit on the bottom. Like, I wouldn't do anything like cories or anything like that, loaches, because these guys are just curious. They're going to go down there, and if they see a beautiful fin sitting still, they're going to nip the tip off of it. If they just see a fish sitting there, they might bite its side, and then now you got a bacterial infection. Now you got to treat your old tank. Now your live bacteria crash. It's just not good. So if you do want to keep them with anything, fast-moving, non-aggressive fish is the best thing that you could do, and that's what I would recommend. I would never keep them with shrimp, although baby shrimp could be a good food source if you have an abundance. I don't recommend it because I love shrimp. I love keeping them. I love breeding them. I wouldn't do it. You guys can if you really want to. So to wrap up the video, I want to go through some frequently asked questions that our customers and even some of our viewers have asked in the past, just to give you guys more insight and maybe more information. So the number one thing that people always ask is like, since it's a puffer fish, do they actually puff up? The answer is yes, they really do. So if you ever stress these guys out a lot, which try not to, you don't want to do it, but if you ever stress them out, you'll see them, they'll balloon up. Or if you're lucky, like we got a lot of them in each tank, like we said up to 100. And so if you're just sitting here maintenancing, a lot of times they'll puff up just to stretch out and then they'll go back down. It's really cool to see. And they do actually puff up. So a lot of people ask about common health issues with you guys. We've pretty much already covered that in the video, but bloat's a big one, internal parasites, just being on top of treating them and feeding them a fiber-rich source, which is Daphnia, highly recommend it. That is the most common issues that you're gonna experience with pea puffers. So a lot of people wanna know how long pea puffers actually live for. So in captivity, usually about 3 to 5 years if you take good care of them. If you read online, you could actually find cases where people have kept them for over 10 years. And so they can live longer. It's just you normally don't see that. There's always, you know, that one person that can do it for a really long time. So 3 to 5 years is pretty common for these guys. And again, they are like a pet, like a dog. And so you do want to take good care of them and hopefully get, you know, 10 years out of them. So that's what I got for you guys about our pea puffers here at Flipaquatics. Hopefully you guys learned something and hopefully I set you up for success. So if you guys are interested in getting some pea puffers, definitely consider Flipaquatics. We really take pride in what we do here and hopefully you can see it in the quality of fish that you receive from us. With that being said, you guys make it a great rest of your day. As always, God bless, and we'll catch you on the flip side.